Welcome to the Texas Water Journal webinar series. My name is Todd Votler. I'm editor-in-chief of the Texas Water Journal, and I'm pleased to present Dr. Walter Den at the Texas A&M University-San Antonio campus, whose topic is how Texas could lead the nation in addressing a growing water workforce problem. Just a little bit about the journal before we get started. The journal is free, and our mission is to expand water knowledge for all Texans. We have about 10,000 downloads per month now in terms of abstracts and articles for the journal. And we try to provide a webinar opportunity for our authors as just a little something extra after they publish with us. And so you can see in the chat a link to Dr. Den's recent article. And so let me go ahead and introduce him so he can get started. Dr. Walter Den received his doctoral and master's degrees in civil and environmental engineering from the University of Southern California, and he also has an undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering from the University of California, Santa Barbara. He joined the Texas A&M University-San Antonio campus in the fall of 2018 and has served as the program coordinator for the Water Resources Science Technology degree program. He has over 70 published peer-reviewed journal articles and has presented his work nationally and internationally. And so with that, Dr. Den, please tell us how Texas could lead the nation in growing and well, let me start that over. How Texas could lead the nation in addressing a growing water workforce problem.
All right, thank you again, Dr. Butler, for the very nice introduction. And I think it's a great idea to have a webinar following a obviously paper form publications. I think it kind of matches the face to the writing, and for the authors to actually talk about this, I think it kind of opened up more possibilities. So thank you for this opportunity because I think this is a again very important topic that was not talked about enough, especially in the higher education space. So let me move on to the slides. Okay, and then here. All right, so the concerns for aging water infrastructure obviously isn't new, but I think the situation has been amplified in the past decade or so because of the population growth, which comes with the growing demand of potable water supply. And there have been a higher frequencies of isolated incidents where the public water supply safety has been compromised. So I basically pull out some I guess articles from the internet just to kind of provide some examples here. So that top image is screenshot from I forgot what internet that I extracted from. But this is out of the in 2022 a Jackson, Mississippi case where the residents in the city of Jackson they had to endure 2 weeks of essentially no safe drinking water. So the city has to truck in drinking water to provide drinking water for the residents. So you can see the title there, growing drinking water crisis threatens America's cities and towns. And then that two other screenshots, the one on the left, Texas water infrastructure is broken, jeopardizing quality and supply for a growing state. And the one on the right says everything you need to know about Texas beleaguered water systems. But both are published in 2023. But if you look down the row, you probably find more over the last couple of years. But anyway, the purpose here is just to amplify the problem that we're facing right now. Not a new problem, but the situation has gotten worse over the several years, over this last several years. So one of the emerging issues associated with the aging water infrastructure, to me, is the aging of the water utility workforce itself. So, and the difficulty to attract and retain, I guess, younger populations to join the workforce and to maintain that talent pipelines. So, I use some of the important publications in the last several years. And so these are three of them. So the one on the left is published by the Brookings Institute called Renewing the Water Workforce, Improving Water Infrastructure and Creating a Pipeline to Opportunity. So this one was published in 2018, which is very instrumental to my article here. That one in the middle is published by the U.S. EPA, called America's Water Sector Workforce Initiative, a call to action. Again, out of the responding to the situations where the aging infrastructure and workforce has become a major problem. And the one on the right, I think that one is authored by Houston Advanced Research Center, but commissioned by the Texas Water Foundation, entitled Workforce Concerns in the Texas Water Industry. So you can see the same problem nationwide, but especially in Texas as a rapidly growing state. So hence the title of how Texas can lead the nation in addressing the water workforce problem. Okay, so just to frame this conversation a little bit better, so let's put some top level remarks from both public and private agencies, if you will. So in 2018, the Government Accountability Office, again, they published their information on the website. The median age of water sector workforce is about 48 years old, which is six years older than the national median average of workers for all occupations. And 37 of the water utility and 31% of the wastewater utility workers will retire in the next 10 years at the time that the writing. So again, this was written in 2018, but again, the situation has not been addressed. So I assume the number would fluctuate, but around the same percentages. And in the same year, the Brookings Institute, that report stated that the water workforce tend to be older and lack gender and racial diversity in certain occupations. Nearly 85% of the water workforce were male, and 2/3 are white. And women make up only a small fraction, and mostly in administrative roles. So there's a call to attracting wider, younger, and more diverse population to join the workforce. And the third bullet point says that reliance on the-job training makes it difficult to provide hard and soft skills. So this is highlighted by the reports, not just my personal opinion. But again, as a educator in the higher education space, I think that is very true. And I do value what I teach and how I run the program as far as prepare my students for a career in the water industry. Difficulties to retaining and growing why new competencies and new skills are needed in response to new challenges. And I'll point that out because there's very tangible areas in the industry that needs to be addressed to increase the competencies of the workforce. So let's look at some data to see if we can identify the water workforce problems. The one on the left, the figure on the left, so you'll see water-related occupations in blue and all occupations in gray. So the one on the left is to compare the hourly wage or the pay scale comparison between the water workforce versus all occupations. You can see from that plot, that figure, that's if you look at the 10%, 25%, the 50% medium, 75%, all pointing out that the water occupation actually has higher pay in average than as compared to all occupations, except for that 90 percentile where it sort of hit a ceiling where the pay scale doesn't increase as much as the other occupations. But in general, it seems that water workers earn competitive wages as compared to other occupations. So salary doesn't seem to be the major problem as far as attracting younger generations. The middle figure there compares the educational attainment for water workers, again, in comparison to all occupations. And this is where the a more dramatic, I guess, a stark contrast can be seen here. So again, blue for water and gray for all other occupations. So if you look at the blue bars, you'll see that the water workforce consists of that highest bar where it says workforce having high school diploma at about 38% clip, and another 15% that has less than high school credentials. So if you add it up, that's 53% of high school diploma or less that make up the water workforce for the water industry. Um, there's 8% of the workforce that has a associate degree, 11% having a bachelor degree, and 4% having graduate degrees, and 23% went to college but never actually obtained a degree. So you can see that the education attainment for the water industry is somewhat lagging behind in terms of the level of educations. And again, that is not new, but it's something that we need to point out. And as a important medium for generating competent workforce in higher education space, I think this is a important data. The one on the right is the age range for the workers. Again, water versus all occupations. This one isn't as dramatic, but as you see from older age groups, from 35 to 44 years old, to 45 to 54, and then to 55 to 64, all pointing out that the average age in those age groups for the water industry is higher as compared to other occupations, as compared to the younger age groups. So again, this essentially corroborates the previous points that the water workforce tend to be older and less diverse. So there are some challenges. Again, this is taken straight out of the publication by Brookings Institutes. Recognizing the varied scale and capacity of different communities from urban to rural when expanding the workforce. Obviously, urban, especially cities, big cities, they have more resources, they have more taxes income to support their public water supplier. So in general, the rural water supply utility has more resource to expand their recruiting in I guess professional development for their employees as compared to rural utilities. And the second bullet point says attracting younger and more diverse workers and increasing the public visibility of water workforce. That has constantly be a major pain points for the water industry, knowing that the nature of the job itself is not glamorous. It's not IT industry. It's not sitting in an office. A lot of time has to be spent on call. Sometimes you got to get up at night and go to roadside to fix the pipes. So knowing this is the situation, how do we make that nature of the workforce and convince the younger generation that is important and has value to the society? And then identifying barriers to recruiting workers, developing strategies to proactively and effectively recruit skilled workers. And the last point I sort of highlight here because that's where I think the higher education institution can come in and contribute in a more value way. And that is offering professional development opportunities to help retain skilled workers and grow new competencies and skills in response to new challenges. Okay. And the last point is supported by other studies as well. For example, this one's from US EPA, published in 2020. Again, that's the publication, America's Water Sector Workforce Initiative. So I think I extract these quotes from the executive summary of that reports. Again, promulgated by the American Water Infrastructure Act of 2018 to develop programs to accelerate career pipelines in the water utility sectors and provide access to water utility workforce opportunities. resiliency in the technologically competent water workforce. So far we I guess consistently emphasize the uh, competency of water workforce because by tradition a lot of the utilities still follow the mentoring programs, which is great, but in some way, in some shape and form, it lacks the uh, I guess the visionary components of improving their workforce in general. The necessary technologies required to run today's water utilities are wide-ranging and complex. They include advanced monitoring and treatment technologies and sophisticated information management systems. To me, that just screens out SCADA, right? The supervisory control and data acquisition system. A lot of utilities still use a SCADA system that was built 20 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago. So that needs to be updated, and who is capable of doing that in-house? So that needs to be addressed as well. Continue that quote: smart systems, water quality sensing, remote sensing, satellite imagery, treatment technologies and processes, advancements in treatment technologies and processes to help eliminate not only legacy but emerging water contaminants. Information system management, operations, asset management, and very importantly, cybersecurity issues. So again, this quote kind of highlights the new areas of concerns that needs to be addressed for to prepare for the next generation water industry workforce. And then this is from another publications. I think this is from Texas Water Infrastructure Network, published more recently in 2022. So again, starting from the left, so this is a publication of surveys and survey results. That results from the left, again, are you concerned about the ability to maintain your current and future workforce? Again, this is Texas-specific utility surveys. And 68% of the utilities respond yes. And adding to the yeses for the current and for the future, we'll probably get close to the 80% rather than 68%. So let's take 80% of the utilities think that they're concerned about the workforce, current or future. And that middle plot right there with the question, ranking your utilities' current infrastructure needs by priority. So the one that's highlighted, the one that has its highest score, 4.66 out of a scale of 6, is water main / water line repair or replacement. So obviously, the distribution lines, the aging distribution lines, has been a big problem there. And second on that list is water treatment, and I think the third is the new or alternative water supplies. To my surprise, wastewater treatments actually rank quite low, and I'm not surprised by seeing climate change to be a low priority, just because utilities are struggle to maintain the current state and just to satisfy the growing demand. And on the right, that figure shows the a response to the question ranking the greatest driver for your future infrastructure and capital projects. Again, infrastructure is the primary concerns there, as well along with the regulatory compliance and demands for population growth. So they all come hand in hand. So none of these issues are isolated. So one that is higher probably leads to the other ones as well. Okay, so this is just a complete list of the questions that were given to the surveyors or surveyees. So I don't think this is listed by the importance, but rather by alphabetical orders. So I'm just showing that for you to contextualize the questions. All right, so I think now we more or less have some good ideas about the issues and challenges experienced by the water industry. And let's now see how the industry addresses these issues, particular the workforce issues. Again, this is taken from the publication by the Houston Advanced Research Center, again, commissioned by the Texas Water Foundation in 2023. So this is even a more recent publications. So again, the one on the left, the question is your organization experiencing increasing employment difficulties? For example, open positions difficulty to fill the positions, turnover or retirements. By far, the largest percentage of answers is on that trade level occupations require state certifications. So hiring certified operators appear to be the most urgent concern so far. And then professional occupations, for example, engineers, hydrologists, that came second on the list if you take away that number above. So essentially hiring certified operators and certified engineers, hydrologists are constantly a challenge for its utilities. And the one on the right is with the question, which of the following measures does your organization use to monitor retention and retirements? And surprisingly, we'll see that first item there. We don't monitor retention and retirements, which means they realize the problem, but they have a hard time implementing strategies to address the issues. They're also concerned about employee turnover rates, percentage of workforce eligible for retirements in the next 5 years, so on and so forth. So that sort of tells us the problems has been recognized, but not necessarily addressed even to this date. As far as hiring and retention, again, continuing some of the, to me, the important key research results. Methods to track employee and leadership development accomplishments. That was the question. And the response here is we don't track leadership and development accomplishments. And that percentage goes almost 40%, I think like 38% or something. About 25% track employee job satisfaction rates, and about 20% address annual training hours for the employees. But that first line, again, sort of highlights the lack of implementations of plans or strategies, if you will, to meet the professional development motivation of the employees. And then on the right, the question is the compensation and benefit strategies. I think this is more or less a results that one can expect. For example, about 30% of the respondents responded that they have routine salary audits and adjustments to ensure salaries are competitive. But to me, that's probably just the bare minimum because we paid them enough to keep them on the job, but not necessarily develop them for growing the competency and climbing the ladders. Okay. I think we have said that the water workforce earning or pay scale isn't necessarily the problem. But we have also observed that professional development and professional seating might be an issue. So we kind of dug in a little bit deeper to the salary structures just to highlight that point. So for example, this is a set of data taken from the 2023 version of the American Water Works Association salary survey, which they publish every year. And this particular slide is to compare the salary by experience. So I want to direct your attention here in that middle column here. So this is the U.S. National average salary range. And so I pull out the Texas salary range as well, so we can have a side-by-side comparison to look at the pay scale difference. And then we compare everything by experience. So the associate just means probably entry level. Intermediate is I would think about 3 to 5 years. And then if you have over 5 years, you probably consider as senior operators. In that top column here is for the water wastewater distribution operators. The middle column is for the water wastewater treatment plant operators. And the last column here is last row here is for the water wastewater treatment managers. So just very briefly, you can see the minimum, the maximum, and the medium pay scale. And it's pretty obvious that across the board, uh, Texas pay scale lag behind of the U.S. national pay scale, um, especially in the distribution operators. I think there somewhere around 10% pay scale difference as compared to the national average. Less so, but still consistently less pay for the treatment plant operators as compared to the U.S. national average. Um, Even less so of a case for the manager level. Um, and then you see the differences between the distribution operators versus the treatment plant operators. So I think can observe that the treatment plant operators get higher pay than distribution operators. So that just give you a context of where money goes. And this slide shows the salary comparisons based on or by education credential. And this is taken not from any publications, but directly from the salary.com. So I use the keywords to narrow down the salary components in search range. And so this is using San Antonio, Texas, as a specific example because cities by cities, the pay scale actually differ quite significantly. Okay, so the way that I drew up this table is by experience and by education degree. Okay, so the experience less than 1 year, basically newbies, entry level. 1 to 2 years, 3 to 4 years, 5 to 6, and all the way to 7 to 9 years. And that first column here shows the degree attainment, those that have high school diploma or those having associate degree versus bachelor degrees and graduate degrees. So here you can see the average, which I put it down here. The overall median salary that we're looking at here is $61,893. And that shows up right here. If you have a high school diploma and you accumulated 5 to 6 years experience, you probably hit that number um, right in the button. So you can see that 0.0%. So that's the baseline that we're comparing at. And if you have a high school diploma, but you have more experience, obviously you get more pay. But that pay scale increase isn't dramatic. And then if you compare, if you go down, which is by education level, if you have associate degree, you have the same level of years, you have 1.4% increase. If you have bachelor degree, you have 2% increase. If you have graduate degree, you have 2.8% increase. Again, this 2.8% is the same scale, same magnitude of increase as compared to having a high school diploma, but with 2 or 3 more years experience. So again, that sort of highlights, at least hints at the fact that education credential isn't as value as accumulating experience in this particular industry. So just for a brief summary here, it takes 5 or 6 years for an entry-level person with a high school diploma to reach the mean median salary, but it gradually shortens the increasing level of education, for example, associate, bachelor, master degrees. Second bullet point, while the salary growth for individual with a high school diploma was competitive with those with higher education credentials, which I just sort of verbally described, the potential for salary growth with accumulation of on-the-job experience begin to diminish after 5 years. So that means that experienced workforce having high school diploma tend to hit the ceiling after 5 or 6 years, 7 max. And then you start to seeing a difference of having a college degree or not. So it's essentially your career probably your salary level stops right there. And the salary level for water workers at higher earning brackets, meaning 70 percentile, 90 percentile, generally lag behind those of all occupation in the same brackets nationwide. So again, we're looking at a sitting for the water workforce for the water industry, looking at 70 and 90 percentile brackets. Okay, so to summarize everything that I've seen so far, so I saw a trend here. Now, knowing that this is a licensure heavy industry, so starting from TCEQ designated Class D all the way to Class A, if you're really diligent, if you really work hard, if you study hard, you can probably get from Class D all the way to Class A in 10 years based on the minimum minimum requirements stipulated by TCEQ, 10 years. But if you have education credentials, for example, if you have high school diploma, you require 1 year experience to get to qualify, 1 year hands-on experience to qualify Class C license. But if you have a bachelor degrees, you can shave off half a year, right? Instead of 3 years of hands-on experience, you only need 2.5 years. Okay, so that's half year, but it requires 4 years of efforts to acquire that bachelor degrees. If you want to go for a Class A and having a bachelor degree, instead of 6 years of hands-on, you can shave 1 year off, 5 years here. If you have a master's degree, that's 4 years. But again, you're looking at a substantial number of efforts, years of efforts, and most likely you go to school while you're still full-time professional. Okay, so that's a lot to sacrifice. But those education credential do not necessarily reflect on the benefits of accelerating your license levels. So here's my short takes on the situation here. The state policies pretty much geared toward encouraging people to fill the workforce gap, educated or not, right? So, for example, if you have a high school diploma, that's great. Go to workforce. There's no argument against that from me. I think it's great. You can always go back to college while being a full-time professional. I think that's beneficial. But if there's still a shortage, the policy also said that if you don't have a high school diploma, that's fine. We'll just change the law. We'll lower the age limit for people to go to the workforce. And I think that requires a little bit far-sighted consideration instead of just to filling the immediate workforce gap that needs to be revisited. From the industry perspective, they face recruitment, retention, competency issues, yet they have limited organization strategies or professional development opportunities provided to their employees. As a important components of the workforce industry, that means the college and universities or higher education arena, we struggle to meet enrollment even if we launch programs to help the workforce shortage and competency issues. As Todd introduced me at the beginning of this talk, I run this water resource program for about 6 years by now. And in the 6 years, we grew probably from 4 students in our program to about 15 students. Percentage-wise, that's great, but it's still considered a very small program, and we didn't expect that to happen when we first designed the program, because we designed so we launched the program out of the call to action from the industry. Okay, but apparently there's a gap between the needs and the motivation from the workforce themselves. So I think we need to recalibrate our purpose, and I'm talking about the role of education for water industry as a whole. We need to recalibrate our existing programs, and we need to offer education beyond just skill sets to perform a technical job, because that can be done by hands-on mentoring and on-site training. And I'll talk more about this in the next slide. And we also need to increase the visibility and attractiveness of the job and how to engage with the new generations. I don't know what you even call them. I think you call them Generation Z, Generation Y and Z. And if you go to conferences, you actually hear presentations from this generation and how they envisions the water industry and the value to them. And I think I learned quite a bit by listening what they have to say. And the soft skills and technical skills needed for the job with increasing complexity. So here I kind of just pull the ones that I think is visible. For example, the wastewater, water and wastewater utility cybersecurity, and that has popped up from time to time in the last 5 years. And the growing liability of emerging contaminants, PFAS for one big example, right? And then the application, the use of GIS for water distribution, collection, and treatment operations. And again, big data information science for water supplies. So I think these are areas in which the younger generation will probably value their training other than just be on the call all the time. All right, so to wrap up this conversation here, again, I'm outlining the potential pathways for the water workforce to pursue in the future, right? So I'm going to start with a high school diploma here. Okay, you can go straight to college. Yeah, actually two routes here. If you want to go for STEM routes, you can go here, right, to college, university, bachelor of science degrees, or you can go to a non-STEM but relevant water related job disciplines here. Or you can go to vocational training school. You can go to training apprenticeship programs, or you can go to community college offering water related programs. So unfortunately, even at the community college level, they also face the same dilemma as a university and college faced when they launch a water training programs because of the low enrollments. And locally here in San Antonio, one of the campuses of the Alamo colleges just closed down their water science program because in the 5 or 8 years of their existence, they constantly have lower enrollments. So from a financial point of view, the institution had to close down the program. But you don't just stop there, right? Once you have a vocation and training school training or credentials, you can always get your operator's license, and that operator license can be beneficial because it can shave off some course requirements when you go back to college. And there's transfer agreements between community college, between associate degrees, associate applied science degree, and your bachelor degrees. Okay. So for example, in my program, we offer bachelor of science degree and bachelor of science and arts degree, the BAAS degree. So depending on what you get from your 2-year degree, you can transfer en bloc to have a 4-year degree, while shaving off a year or so, depending on your license credentials. So once you're done with that, or in some cases, some folks didn't complete their associate degrees, and they transfer to a 4-year college and attempt their bachelor degrees. You can always back transfer if you wish to get that associate degree as well. And some people value that because that back transfer may obtain not only additional degree, but additional degree in different disciplines. All right, so from there, you can choose to eventually get your bachelor of science degree, and you want to get a graduate degree, you can do so as well. So that pathway, I think, kind of lay out remove some barriers in perception issues when the workforce having only a high school diploma or less. Eventually, when they hit when they hit a ceiling, they look at this pathway. They can have a better idea of how to pursue a either associate degree or bachelor degree from colleges and universities. Okay, final messages here. I think college degree programs should be more prepared to work with students slash professionals with full-time day jobs in the water industry. I think essentially, in short, in our language, to accommodate non-traditional students. I personally hate that term, but I can't come up with a better term than saying non-traditional versus not traditional students. By definitions, by age, by career status, by even motivations, non-traditional students are coming more prepared in terms of mindsets because they need that education credentials versus students who just go to college for the sake of going to college. We need to make more flexible and accessible course delivery. For example, in my program, we're pretty much a fully online program. Most classes are scheduled evening times because knowing the work hours from 9 to 5, so we schedule our courses in evening hours. We try to align our curriculum with industry partners as much as possible. Okay, so that doesn't just meet the technical demands, but it also provides that visibility issues and distinguish college curriculum from vocational trainings. And we offer mini credentials. For example, GIS mini credentials, big data analysis or data analytics mini credentials. So depending on the needs of the professionals, you can get higher education credentials, but not spending 4 years to get your bachelor degrees. Okay, so that's kind of help retain business students slash professionals to succeed small step at a time to eventually a degree completion. So with that, I think I hope I addressed the issues faced by the industries by higher education and what we can do to address the issues. So with that, I would like to thank you for listening and conclude this presentation myself. Dr. Butler, back to you.
Thank you, Walter. Great presentation. Uh, Let me just go ahead and say if anybody has questions, you can enter them into the chat and we'll go ahead and queue those up for Walter. And also, let me also mention that this recording will be posted on the Texas Water Journal website probably within the next few days. So if you want to go back and listen to it, or if you want to share it with anybody, you can do that. So my first question is I'm gonna start questions off. I worked for a river authority for a number of years, and we had a water treatment plant and wastewater treatment plant, and we had a problem with our employees, being hired away for for work in different areas that are totally unrelated to water treatment or wastewater treatment. And I I got kind of frustrated with how it was handled where I worked, just because I thought, well, if we paid them more, we would not be, uh, you know, getting them poached by other people. And the organization seemed to really recognize the value that they added and how critical they were in terms of our operations. Because as soon as something goes wrong with, your water treatment or your wastewater treatment, you start getting a lot of phone calls. And um, so I'm just curious about that. Have is 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 some of the issue just related to they're just not being paid enough?
Yeah, I think that issues still persist today. In fact, yesterday, um, so in my program, we have students because of location in San Antonio. We have quite a bit of students from the San Antonio River authorities. We have quite a bit of students from the San Antonio water systems, and exactly like you mentioned, there's quite an interesting dynamics between these local utility companies versus a state agencies, that is the river authorities, that the wastewater treatment utilities owned and operated by the river authorities constantly had their people pulled away by the San Antonio water systems. Um, um, to me, because the water system, for one, pretty much monopolized the water supply industry in the metropolitan San Antonio. So they're a lot more financially flexible, meaning they'll be able to provide not only just higher pay, but I guess more robust career ladder for their employees. I obviously don't have any solution for that. That's just the nature of the industry ecosystems. But I think again, going to my presentation, I think the role of um, higher education, using my program as an example, I think we not only touch on the core subject, meaning the water wastewater treatments, distributions, engineering components, but also touching on the value of water resource management. Um, so that's one component I constantly think that's missing, because without a general visions, a bigger visions of water resources, watershed management, hydrology, stormwater management, and you go straight work for only the utilities, at some point in time, you're going to hit a ceiling, right? So if you want to transfer out of that city into another area within the same industry, that is usually the challenge faced by many of my students. Hence, they go back to academic programs. Tom, I don't know if it answered your question, but I think I offer my perspective.
No, that's great. Thanks. So, this is a little far afield, but I think it's related. One of the things that I'm been thinking about a lot over the last couple of years or last several years is the fragmentation in water management in Texas, and I, just kind of, looking at the number of water utilities of some kind, right? There's over 7,000. And you look at that and you think, okay, well, uh, many of those, I mean, that goes from the city of Houston to mom and pop package plant, right? At for a very small development. And so you look at that and you think, well, okay, that could be an issue right there. If we had uh, consolidation of more of those systems. I know you can't have consolidation for all of them, just given the geographic diversity of Texas, right? But if more of them were under common systems or managed by a one central organization or one regional organization, not a central, Texas isn't going to do that. That some of these issues might be easier to address in terms of the workforce.
I would agree to that. Again, I think the ecosystem, like you mentioned, in especially in Texas, probably beyond Texas too, is very fragmented. I think the professional association is one conduit in which the interaction of I'm gonna use the term rural versus urban. Rural meaning small communities, mom and pop kind of shops. Um, I think the resource and information offered to those smaller utilities or communities is hindering them from reaching out for help. So I think it's not. the bigger institutions or organizations, more resourceful ones, they aren't necessarily wanting to isolate themselves. I think they want to help. It's just that they were never reached out to. So I think the information barrier is one thing that as a professional in this particular industry, something that we should pay attention to. Just disseminating information to the rural communities so that they know how to reach out to um, uh, the right place and the right people.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat. So, or the Q&A, sorry. Um, so I think that means that your presentation was so thorough that nobody has any questions. You covered it in such a comprehensive manner. Oh, wait a second. All of a sudden we have one. This is from Colin McDonald, and Colin says, kind of as a follow-up, the question I asked, um, it says entry-level jobs at Costco pay more than almost all water utilities, and the work is regular with benefits. Running a car wash at Buc-ee's pays more than managing a water plant. How can water utilities compete with that?
Uh, Todd, I don't have an answer for that. I think it's a bigger market structure that dictates the pay scale of workers. But I think that reflects the how the markets value uh, water and wastewater uh, operators as compared to retail industries, for example. Um, I think the same goes for say I don't know K-12 educators. They aren't paid great, but we all agree that the job they do, the nature of the job is so important as a society. So there's no argument against that. But I think that in general, it's a bigger societal issue as to how we value the work that these people do. But to me, again, I still want to veer back to what I can do as a higher education educator to provide the professional competency for these people to look farther down the road. So apologize, I don't have an answer for a solution to that.
Well, actually, I agree with your focus on value in that answer. Uh, because to me, almost all water issues start with, eh, you know, modern water issues start with our valuation of water and how we value it or don't value it for the most part. And so, the water utilities, if they could raise their rates sufficiently, many of them, some of them, raise them too much, but in general, most of them are kind of on starvation diet financially. And people get very upset when rates are raised, yet at the same time, the volume of water that in a bottle that you might buy from a convenience store for $3 or something is, 8,000 times the value of the same amount of water coming out of your tap, which is gets actually more um, uh, has more regulation in terms of making sure that it is safe for you. And so uh, I always go back to that. We have a strange way of valuing things uh, in this world, and I think it comes out right here. You would think that people would have, a little better sense of the importance of having reliable water treatment, water delivery, and wastewater treatment systems than we seem to do. And so I've got, I don't want to stray off into the upcoming vote on Proposition 4, but having seen some of the polling information about that, I was kind of surprised that it's going to be close, apparently. Um, but uh, you know, I guess the old proverb about, you'll know the value of water when the well's dry, maybe that's what we have to encounter before uh, we really, you know, appreciate that. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Walter, thanks again for being with us today, and I'm going to try to get this posted on the Texas Water Journal website, which is texaswaterjournal.org, here within the next several days. And I thank everybody who joined us today, and hopefully we'll have a announcement of another upcoming webinar in the next few weeks. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.